the famous authors of books, Taylor, Peter Drucker, and Mary Follett. The general definition which goes with the management is the definition of Kunz, that is the management is the art of getting things done through others and with the formally organized group. This is the most common definition we generally ask in the examination. They directly put this line and ask which has given this definitions. So and other definition because the trends for ARS examination and ARS-NET also is being changed. When you are going for ARS examination, the pre is like it is some like easy portion, but when NET is being conducted separately other than the ARS pre-examination, it is more tougher than the ARS pre-examination. So the others author which has given the definition for the management. Now I would say you have to remember these two definitions, especially for first is for Kunz and other is for Mary Follett. Mary Follett says the management is the art of getting things done through peoples. Why I'm saying this? Because this is the shortest definition of management, and it also fills in the criteria of preparing the question, because it is short and it will gives the numbers to the students also. So these are the definitions of management, where the basic definition goes with it is the process of designing and maintaining an environment in which individuals working together in a group efficiently accomplish their aims. That is the basic definition with the management. So when you are preparing for ARS-NET, you have to remember the name of the scientist and what he has quoted the main words, like management is the art of getting things done. That is given by Harold Kuhn. By Taylor, it is the art of knowing what you want to do and then seeing what they had to do with the best and the cheapest way. For the Peter Drucker, the famous management author, which has given the definition as the management is the multipurpose organ. Who said this word? The management is the multipurpose organ. The name is being enlisted as Kunz, Taylor, Drucker, and Follett. You have to tick on Drucker because the word that is multipurpose organ is the word given by Peter Drucker. There are various classifications of management approaches, which has been classified as classical, administrative approach, and other similar authors. Like basically the scientific approach, it goes with Taylor, who has emphasized on scientific study of work methods to improve efficiency. Soldering problems can eliminate by scientific management. He involved scientific findings out best sequences and minimum number of motions to complete a task. Then another scientist, Frank Gilbert, he had a special focus on human implications of scientific management, focus importance on designing methods of improving efficiency of workers. So the examiner can ask the person who has been deliberately involved with the scientific management, especially with the efficiency of worker, or who have done his management work on workers. So the answer will be the Frank Gilbert. Lineal Gilbert has been given a special mention because he has worked on the task and bonus system for the workers to motivate them. So the two things can be asked with the Lineal Gilbert. First will be the task and bonus system belongs to whom, and the time and motion study belongs to whom. So the answer will be the Lineal Gilbert. Where the Henry Gantt, you must be knowing about the project management. There is a chart which are generally used, that is Gantt chart. So he focused on 5 managerial activities. You have to be focused on 5 managerial activity according to Gantt. What was those 5 activities? According to him, the 5 activity was planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. That is POCC. That is what the 5 management activities is given by Gantt. But the common management function which are generally asked, that is the planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. So the generally, if someone generally asks what are the five major managerial activities, that is planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. Whereas the Henry Fayol has given those five managerial activities, that is planning, organizing, commanding, controlling, and coordinating. These are the five functions given by Henry Fayol. Whereas when it comes to administrative approach, Max Weber has emphasized on human resource management, and he gave the importance for place and advocated for power sharing. So somebody asked if the power sharing was majorly emphasized by whom? That is Max Weber. Whereas when it comes to the Mary Parker Follett, she found out group is the key factor for job performance and determine output standard of production. So the key factor of job performance is the group. That has been given by Mary Parker Follett. Whereas the Abraham Maslow, the famous motivational theories proposer, he theorized that the people were motivated by needs and hierarchical needs like psychological needs, safety, belongingness, esteem, self-actualization. These are the five things that has been emphasized by Maslow. Whereas some other theories that has come, like the classical theory that we call as administrative theory. The name of the scientist which generally comes with the classical theory and administrative theory of management is Lyndon Urwig. He has given a book that is named The Pattern of Management. The Pattern of Management book was given by Lyndon Urwig, and the Fayol Landmark Book of Managerial Principle appeared in France in 1960. And the relationship of administrative theory to the bureaucracy, these administrative theories and the bureaucracy are generally both are largely are deductive in approaches. And when it comes to the positive view of these administrative theories, the major things that comes with the administrative theory, that this theory said that the power in organization is the major thing. Power in organization theory is heavily emphasized on power and authority structure of an organization. Whereas the second part of this positive view of this administrative theory was the practicality. Practicality means the practicing managers has to be develop the manager and the consultancy with the others. And when it comes to the administrative theory, some principle of management said that coordination is the preeminent principle of management. The preeminent principle of management is the coordination. They generally ask these sentences. The preeminent principle of management is what? The things will be listed there, like planning, coordinating, controlling, staffing. So the answer will be the preeminent principle of management is coordination. So when you go to the Fayol's 14 principle of management, the Fayol principle of 14 principle of management, they list these of principles. Like they have listed some 4 of the principle, and they ask which is not the function, which is not the principle of Fayol. So you have to remember all these 14 principles, like division of work, balancing authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interest to the general interest, remuneration, centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of tenure of personnel, initiative, and spirit de corps. And the Henry Fayol is a French industrialist who was recognized as father of modern management in the year 1916. Fayol wrote a book entitled as Industrial and General Administration. In this book, the book was Industrial and General Administration. He gave these 14 principles of management. So So here the 3-4 questions can be like, first will be the what are the principle of Fayol's, that 14 principle, and another, the Henry Fayol was recognized as the father of management, and his book was Industrial and General Administration, and he wrote this book in 1960. So these 4-5 points that can be asked, that generally asked in examination. After that, I would say the Mary Parker, who was focusing on group influences, she urged that the power should not be based on hierarchy. Instead, it should be based on cooperation and should involve both supervisor and subordinate. In other words, she advocates about the power sharing. So I am again saying, if the examiner asked about the who has given these words of power sharing, so for groups, it is the answer will be the Mary Parker Phule. And Abraham Maslow, the focus on human needs, that on your right, the pyramid has been given, like the physiological need, food, water, warmth, rest, and safety needs, security, safety, belongingness, and love needs, esteem needs, self-actualization. So these basic 3 things are there: self-fulfillment needs, psychological needs, and basic needs. So here the questions can be like, who has given this hierarchy of need? Hierarchy of need given by Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow has given these 5 things: self-actualization, esteem needs, belongingness, safety, and physiological. Now if examiner wants to ask the question in other modes, he can ask, what are the physiological needs? So you have to see 2 things, that is esteem needs and belonging and love needs. That comes under psychological needs, and whereas safety needs and physiological needs, that's comes under basic needs. And he has written the book, The Theory of Human Motivation. That is very famous book. Another question that generally comes and it generally comes with 2 or 3 ways, that who has given the 10 managerial rules, the means. There are 3 things that can be asked. First, who has given the 10 managerial rule? That is the means work. What are the main section? Main sections were interpersonal, informational, and decisional. If examiner wants to know the more depth of your knowledge, he can ask, among the 10 managerial roles given under interpersonal role, the figureheads, leader, and the liaison. These are the 3 major. After that, he has put some like recipient. Then he generally asks, what are the interpersonal roles according to what is not been mentioned as the 10 managerial roles comes under interpersonal. So you have to remember the figurehead, leader, and liaison. That will be comes under interpersonal. Similarly for informational and decision. These are the things. These are the system approach to the management we generally consider for any management institution or any management activities. Like we have to first go for the goals, then employee, shareholders, and other things, and input sources, human capital resources. Then the external factors affects these things. The external environment affect this thing. What can be those things? Like management knowledge, your planning, your organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. That again interacted with the external environment. And similarly, that if that has been conducted in a similar fashion and in a more effective way, that will comes as a product or service as an output. So the function of management, we generally ask that what are the function of management. So the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. These are the functions of management, we generally ask that what are the planning according to the Kunz. It involves selecting missions and objectives and deciding on the actions to achieve them. They generally ask this definition. I think the planning, most of the definition that has been asked in these five function of management, that is generally they ask for planning definition. So you have to remember this definition, like it involves the process of selecting missions and objective and deciding on the actions to achieve them is called planning, organizing, staffing, delivery. So you have to remember the definitions. It is and similarly for organizing, it is the best, it is the assembling and arranging the resources in a best possible manner. That is the perfect definition of organizing. For staffing, it involves the positioning right people to right jobs and whereas for directing, it is a process which activates, motivates organizations members to work efficiently and effectively for attainment of organizational goals. For controlling, it is like measurement and appraisal of activities performed by the subordinates to ensure that the objective and plans devised are being accomplished. So you have to remember all these five definitions. Otherwise, in management, there are some areas of scoring. Generally, in management, there are, every time they comes with the 15 to 20 questions, around 50 to 20 questions. And I would say around 15 to 20 questions, there are around 7 to 8 questions which ask directly, like that direct point, that what is the planning? Who is given this theory? What are the, who has given this book? This example is of what? This type of question they generally ask. When it comes to the planning, what is the planning and what are the steps with it? According to the Kunz, that it is generally selecting missions and objective and deciding on what action to achieve them that require the decision making and changing a course of action among the alternatives. That is the planning. The changing the course of action among the alternatives. These words also come, like the choosing a course of action from among the alternates. Choosing a course of action from among alternatives is called planning. They ask with these two things. First was the selecting mission and objective on deciding on what action to do, and the choosing a course of action from among the alternatives. That two definitions of planning that comes generally in examination. So that the basic steps for planning is being aware of your opportunities and getting the objectives or goals, setting your objective of goals, considering the planning premises, then identifying the alternative courses, and then comparing those alternative in light of goals short, choosing alternative means deciding on alternative. There are more number of alternative. You have to decide that which alternative I should go with. Then formulating the supporting plans and formulating the supporting plan and numberizing the plans by making budget and putting the plans into action. These are the general steps for planning. So you have to remember the major heads of planning. These 8 step, 9 step. They generally ask that what is not the steps of planning. They do not ask what is the step of planning. They will ask what is not the step of planning, because when they have more number of things in planning or any of the things like the steps is generally having 7 to 8, they will generally ask which is not the part of planning. They will not ask that what is the part of planning. They will ask what is not the part of planning. And similarly, the hierarchy of objective that comes, that you have to picturize here, that when it comes to the hierarchy of objective, how they can ask a question for ARS aspirant. Like they put an example, there is a board of directors, at what hierarchy of objective they will decide. They will do their things. So it will be economic, socio-economic purposes. Whereas for top level managers, they generally involved in missions and overall objective of organization, like long range or static changes. For middle level manager, what they work on the key result areas and the divisional objectives. And for lower level manager, it will be individual objective, like I have given this work and I have to perform according to my personal abilities. So these are the questions that can be asked. They ask the question with another angle of that have been mentioned here, that managerial hierarchy and hierarchy of objective. So they will put these things together and ask a question different in a different mode. Like middle level managers, they decide on what hierarchy of objectives. So it will be a general words they use is what is KRA. KRA is a short form of key result areas. So they ask on these lines also that what is the KRA and who decide at this objective. So the middle level managers decide on key objective areas. So what types of planning is there? The planning is majorly of two types. Strategic planning, that is the process of determining the basic missions and objective of organization, and contingent planning. If something happens, then you have to be ready with other plans also. That you called as an alternate plan. That is the contingent planning. Then comes the hot topic of management that generally asked in planning section. This is the word that they generally ask for either in mains or maybe ARS pre or maybe the ARS-NET. That what is the management by objective? What is the full form of MPOs? So, and what is the definition of this management by objective? So the management of objective was introduced by Peter Drucker in 1950s, and the management and the MBOs is the management approach which focuses on the key objectives of an organization. What are the key objectives of an organization? That is the approach with the MBOs. How you can define the MBOs? The MBOs is the comprehensive managerial system that integrates many key managerial activities in a systematic manner and is consciously directed towards the effective and efficient achievement of organization and individual objective. These are the definition of management objective. Then that you have to consult to the Kunz book, that is the basic book for management, and you have to picturize everything of this. They have defined the things in a bracket and in a square form, so you can picturize it, you can memorize it easily. So this book has been given us really a very good presentation for memorization and learning the things. These MBOs can be known by other names also. That is the management by result is the another name of MBO. Then goal management and accountability management, improving business results, improving management performance. These are the other words of MBOs. And what are the principles that I have not mentioned here? What are the principles of MBO? That the first principle of MBO is to improvement in productivity and effectiveness. So the first principle will be effectiveness and productivity of effectiveness and productivity. So the second will be the improvement in employees' motivation and morale. Employees' motivation and morale. Third will be the periodic review and feedback in effective implementation. Periodic review and feedback. Fourth will be the empowerment of employee through giving freedom to the challenges. These are the four these are the four principles of MBOs. And the steps of MBOs, they generally ask that first steps is setting the objectives. Second is the working towards the objective. And third is reviewing the performance. These are the steps of MBOs. And when you go, you can see here in the picture, there is one circle is there that depicts the organizational development. Organizational development is another topic of management that generally deals with four things. That is the action planning, of setting your objectives, action planning, implementation, control, and appraisal. These things are comes here. And when you have the different inputs goal, this already comes to the which I've discussed earlier, the hierarchy of objective, the strategic planning that comes to the hierarchy of objective, and it comes to the organizational development. Then it goes to the weather outputs of different things. What are the different things over there? So the uses of MBOs are generally done for the appraisal tools. So you have to remember, if somebody asks what are the appraisal tools for performance, it will be one can be the management by objective. It is for motivating individuals also, and and it is being used for strategic planning also. The other topics which comes here is the problem solving and decision making. So they ask for what the difference in problem solving and decision making. The problem solving is to identify and try to understand the problem. The problem solving is deal with identifying and try to understand the problem. Whereas the decision making deals with identifying the objective of the decision. Identifying the objectives, and the problem solving deals with the collection of relevant information and reflect on it. What are the things that you have gone, and what are the things that you have to decide on what basis, what are the objective that has to be based on your information. That comes under the decision making. Develop a solution, that is for problem solving, and determining evaluation criteria and techniques, that comes under decision making. And when it comes to the problem solving, you have to implement with the best solution. And here in decision making, you have to select best course of action and you have to implement it. For decision making, it is defined as the selection of a course of action from among the alternatives. This is the decision making. Selecting a course of action from among the alternatives, and they ask this question, then what the core of planning? The core of planning is the decision making. Then what are the steps for decision making? Then you have to memorize it, like the diagnosing and defining the problem, analyzing those problems, collecting the collection of data, then reviewing of your key factors. What are the key factors that are generally required, that has come through the data collection, and on these key factors you have to select the best alternatives. You have to categorize your alternative and select the best, and then putting those alternatives into decision, and follow up is doing for what? Follow up to see whether our objective has worked what it has been intended to do or not. We are seeing the completion in terms of objective in follow-ups, and what are the different tools and techniques that generally ask for decision making. So the different tools and techniques are cost benefit analysis, that generally people goes for economics classes there, and they goes with this techniques. Cost benefit analysis, why on financial basis, on what on this cost and benefit analysis, you have to analyze that whether these projects these things are being feasible physically, financially or not. So these techniques can be used, like cost benefit analysis. And then decisional grid analysis, they used for it. Decisional grid analysis, what it said, it helps to take decision confidently and rationally, and it is particularly powerful where you have a number of good alternatives to choose and may different from the factors to factor into accounts. And this is also called as multi-attribute utility theory. Decisional grid analysis is also called as multi-attribute utility theory. In short, it is called MAUT. MAUT, that is multi-attribute utility theory. That is go with the decisional grid analysis. Is in this, what we are doing, we are creating a table which and write in possible solutions to different rows and factors responsible in column. So rows will be for possible solutions and factors, and the factors will be in the column. The column sections deal with the factors, and the rows section deals with the possible solution. And after this, the Pareto analysis that generally asked in examination, that you must have heard the 80-20 principle, that the 20% of works can be generated 80% of the benefits of doing the whole job. Or you can say that 80% of work is being done by the 20% of people in any of organization. That is the thumb rule, you can say, in organization, the Pareto principle, the Pareto analysis. Then brainstorming, you must be knowing that there are generally two sessions, green and the red session. Green session is dealt with the positive, the negative, what are the generally we just collect the information, and in red we generally go for the what are the best possible things are there. Then Delphi techniques is another forecasting technique that generally people and students are using nowadays in their thesis also, like for constant analysis and forecasting what are the best possible ways for any of things that generally been used. That has been introduced by Rand Corporation, this Delphi technique. The nominal group technique also, it is one of the most usable things for nominal group thing. It is in this nominal group techniques, what we are doing, we are eliciting written questions, ideas and reactions from the group members, and then silently generating ideas in written. Then we are discussing each records, data, ideas, and evaluating them, and then voting individually on priorities idea. What I am saying, that this is the best possible idea, I am rating those. So individually I am voting the priorities idea, and the group solution being derived mathematically through the ranking orders. So these are the tools and techniques which is generally used. Other techniques can also be used, like SWOT analysis and star busting, step ladder techniques. These are some of the techniques which are generally being used for decision making. For problem solving, another good thing that comes here, the process is to identify the problem, explore the problems, setting your goals, look at the alternatives. After the alternatives, you have to select the alternatives, then implement on those alternatives, and evaluate your results, whether it has been intended in a positive way or in or not. These are the things that generally comes with problem solving. Similarly, the other tools and techniques that generally go with problem solving is the fishbone diagram, which the people generally called as a cause and effect diagram. Which generally the other names of this fishbone diagram is the cause and effect diagram, which generally ask. And it has also been called as Ishikawa diagram. So there are three names with fishbone diagram. Fishbone diagram is also known as cause and effect. There is a fish-like structure, and there is some portion of cause which generally goes to a effect of this particular things. This causes what type of effect. So these fishbone type like things has been made, and it has been made by Ishikawa. So it is also known as Ishikawa diagram. And the second is Pareto chart. That is, it is a vertical bar graph. Always use and always remember this Pareto chart is a vertical bar graph used to determine the most serious of the group of any of the problem and prioritize them. And this problem that I've discussed already, that the 80% and 80/20 rule that comes with the Pareto name, that the 80% of the problem in any of organizations created by 20% of its employee. Or you can say the 80% of work is being done by 20% of people. There are 80/20 principle we generally follow in other segments. And the next term is brainstorming, then the checklist, and the 5W and 1H. 1H, you must be knowing it. What are these and how it works? The other thing that they use, like the scatter diagram. The scatter diagram is another tool for determining cause and effect relationship. The scatter diagram charts has two variables on vertical and horizontal axis to determine whether there is a relationship between them, typically where one variable is the cause of other. So these are the methods for problem solving techniques. The other techniques can be like the means to end analysis, backward planning, then categorizing and classifying your groups, and the evaluating and judging, then inductive and deductive approach, like we are going from particular to general and general to particular. These things can be the tools for problem solving. Then the other tools we generally used in management and also being asked for examination, that logical framework analysis, LFA. That who has developed it was developed by USAID in 1969, and it is a tool for project design, planning, management, and evaluation. And those who wants to define by it, it can be defined by this, like it is a set of interlocking concepts which must be used together for well-designed, objectively described, and valuable projects. This is the definition of logical framework analysis, the logical framework. And what are the steps? There are 4 steps in logical framework analysis. First is situation analysis. In this, we are firstly doing the stakeholder analysis, and then problem analysis and objective analysis. These are the 3 portions we generally do in situation analysis. And other is the strategic analysis, and third is the project evaluation matrix, that you can see here that I have presented here one matrix that has 2 sections. On the column, on the rows, it has been depicted as project description, objectively verifiable indicators of achievement, source and means of verification, and the assumption. That is on horizontal logic. They ask for the 2 things. What are the who has given the concept of LFA, that in by USAID? What are the steps? The steps are these 4. And in project evaluation matrix, what are the horizontal logics? The horizontal logics is the project description, objectively verifiable objectives, source and means of verification, and assumption. These are the horizontal logics. When you go for the vertical logics, it will be the goal, purpose, of outputs, and activities. These are the vertical logics. So they ask these 2 things. What are the horizontal logics? What are the vertical logics? So this is being used for planning, controlling, and management. Then comes the authority. What is the authority? Authority is to have authority is to have the power to take action. The power to take action is the authority. There are different types of authority. 3 types of authorities are there. First is the line authority, which are the most fundamental authority in organization. Like there is hierarchy, and which generally functions like uppers, they give the direction, and below, and the lowers, they have to work accordingly. And staff authority consists of the right to advise or assist those who possess line authority as well as the other staff personnel. That is the staff authority. Third comes like functional authority. Functional authority generally covers only specific task areas and it is operational only for designated amount of time. Then comes the word, the what is the unity of command? The unity of command means getting order or commands from one supervisor. That is, they generally ask for examination. The unity of command, that getting orders or command from one supervisor. Then what is the decentralization? Decentralization is the process of transferring management responsibilities from the central government to the local institution. Or one of the major objectives of decentralization is to promote local participation and reduce transitional cost. So the two things here, so three things can be asked here. First, what is the unity of command? That we are getting order from supervisor. Decentralization is the process of transferring management responsibilities from upper to lower, you can say. And what are the major function of decentralization is to promote local participation and reduce transitional cost. The two things. And next is the delegation of authority. Delegation of authority is what? It is the delivery by one individual to another of the right to act, to make decision, to the requisitions, resources, and to perform other tasks in order to fulfill their responsibility. That is the delegation of your authority. Then what are the strategy, policy, and planning procedures? The first, the strategy is a Greek word, that is the stratego, means the general. This generally asked in examination. And what is this strategy? It is the determinations of the missions or purpose and the basic long-term objective of an enterprise, followed by the adoption of course of action and allocation of resource necessary to achieve these aims. So the definitions can be the adoption of course of action and allocation of resources necessary to achieve these aims are called as strategy. Then what is the policy? Then policy are the general statements or the understanding that guides manager thinking in decision making. They generally ask the general statement or the understanding in decision making is called what? It has been called as policy. And the blue color which now I'm showing is the essence of policy is discretion. This word directly comes as a question that the essence of policy is what? The different things will be there, and the answer will be the discretion power. Then what are the tactics? The generally words the peoples are using in nowadays that he has some other tactics to do. Then what is the tactics? The tactics are the planning, the action plans through which strategies are being executed are known as tactics. The action plan through which strategies are executed, that is the tactics. And the most things that generally are now every organization is looking for it, that the TAUS matrix. The TAUS matrix is the modern tool for analysis of any situation, and this can be used for any of competitive situations of a company, or even for the nation leads to the development of 4 stages of these strategic alternatives. So the questions can be: TAUS matrix is involved for what? It is used for analysis of the situation. TAUS, you generally know the SWOT analysis. It is the opposite of this. It has 4 alternatives. They generally ask for examination. The first is WT strategy. They generally call it as a mini strategy. You have to remember this, that what is WT strategy and what is the other word they use for it. Like mini strategy is called what? That is WT strategy. That is aimed for minimizing both weaknesses and threats. Like example is being given, a company may form a joint ventures, retrench, or even liquidated. That is with the mini strategy. Second is WO strategy, to minimize weaknesses and maximizes the opportunities. That is the mini-max strategy. ST strategy, that is using organization strengths to deal with the threats in the environment, like maxi-mini strategy. and SO strategy, that is which capitalize on a company's strengths to take advantage of opportunities, is the most desirable, that is maximum. So the question can be asked like, if company wants to if company is an advantage condition and wants to capitalize every of its strength, then what will be the strategy? The strategies will be maxi condition. This type of things they generally ask. Then other things that comes here is the blue ocean strategy. What is the blue ocean strategy? In pursuit of opportunity in a uncontested market. So what you have to remember here is the creating opportunity in an uncontested market. The blue ocean strategy focuses on uncontested market by offering a product or services that is unique in a market space where there is no competitor, thus making competition irrelevant. So in blue ocean strategy, what the companies do, they put some unique product which has no competitor. No competition means no competition. And like if some companies is there who are producing mobile. So if he has produced a 128 GB RAM in 6,000 or 7,000 or below the 10,000, it will vast off the other products like the other companies, because no company is providing the 128 GB RAM mobile in less than the 10,000 with good amount of other features. So these are the blue ocean strategy, which is given by Kim and Morgan. He has written this book. They have given this concept. Blue ocean strategy, what they do, the blue ocean strategy may pursue both in SO, strength and opportunity, as well as in weaknesses and opportunity alternative strategy. So they are generally asked, the blue ocean strategy works in which conditions? The SO and W alternative strategies. Then the other common question that comes, what is the portfolio matrix? The portfolio matrix, it is used for allocating resources. Like the business portfolio matrix that has been developed by Boston Consultancy Group, and it is a simplified version of matrix showing the linkages between the growth rate of the business and the relative competitive position of firms. Like star is the highest, is having the highest growth rate and relative market share. Question mark having highest market rate, but the relative market share are very low. Cash cow having low market growth, but have higher market share. Dogs, they are generally, they said that the dogs is generally run with the word of disposed of. So the word disposed of can be asked in examination, but disposed of is used for what matrix? It is used for dogs. The techniques which I've generally discussed before this, the Delphi technique, it is the most forecasting techniques that has been used, developed by Olaf Elmer at Rand Corporation, having the highest respectability and acceptance, where the setup question being asked to the respondent and then the respondent returns to, and sorry, the open question asked to the your subject, and they give their responses. Then again you have to put some statistics and reducing those amount of subjects and reducing and giving back to the expert. They again giving their expertise, and then again you are doing some of the statistical thing, and after this you are going for a consensus, that what are the topic that has been gone for common consensus, and then similarly for last gathering you are doing some statistical analysis and going for that. These are the things that can be generally used for this thing. So it is generally used for any of most popular things for area of constant analysis, or the forecasting techniques. The organization is the formalized intentional structure of roles and responsibility. Departments is the designates a distinct area, division of the branch of organization, whichever manager has the responsibility to perform a specific activity. What are the span of management? It is the number of people efficiently managed by the single officer in an organization. So this span of management is generally asked. The number of people who can efficiently managed by a single officer in an organization is called span of management. Sometimes the students are being confused with the unity of command. The span of management is different and the unity of command is different. So the principle of span of management, there is a limit to the number of subordinates the manager can effectively supervise, but the exact number will be dependent on the impact of underlying factors. So there has been given differences between the formal organization and informal organization, that there is authority and there is a leadership. Individuals are valuable because of their status. Individuals are valuable because of their roles and skills. And the more prominent, less flexible, more flexible size is generally large, informal, there is manageable. These are some of the differences between formal organization and informal organization. Then human resource management, it deals with the recruitment, placement, training, and development of organization members. It has 7 basic activities like human resource planning, recruitment, selection, socialization, training and development, performance appraisal, promotions, transfers, demotions, and separation. These are the basic 7 activities under HRM. And what is the selection? They generally ask the admissible process whereby the organization decides whether or not to make a job offer and the candidate decide whether or not to accept it. That is the selection. Then what is the human resource planning? The planning for the future personal needs of an organization, taking into account both internal activities and factors in the external environment. It has 4 basic aspects like planning is the future needs, planning for the future balance, planning for recruitment or laying off the employees, and planning for the development of employees. These are the 4 basic aspects of human resource planning. Then what is the performance appraisal? I would say it is one of the tools for evaluating the job of an employee, and it is being used by various organizations also on different basis, on different parameters. So it is a systematic evaluation of performance of employees to understand the ability of person for the further growth and development. And the performance appraisal system, the process was given by Craig, Britt, and Baird in 1986 and suggested the 8-step performance appraisal processes. Each 8 steps involve the establishing standards and measures, communicating job expectations, then planning, monitoring performances, appraising, feedback, decision making, and development of performance. Then what are the techniques of this performance appraisal? There are some 8-9 have been mentioned here. The first is SM method, where this SM method, and other is the graph rating scale, field review methods, force choice rating method, critical incidence appraisal method, management by objectives, ranking methods, behavior anchor scale, and assessment center. These all has been mentioned in Kunz book, so you have to refer the performance appraisal section with the Kunz book that has given everything of this. You can go with it. And there are 2 types of performance appraisal techniques. First is based on the past-oriented method. Past-oriented methods can be rating scale, checklist, force choice method, force distribution model, critical incidence, behavior anchor rating scale, SM method, and confidential records. And the future-oriented methods can be the management by objective, psychological appraisal, assessment center, 360-degree feedback. And while appraising of any performance, there are some lacunas that comes generally in the minds, like what are those biases that generally creates when somebody is appraising. That generally comes if somebody has no biases for this, then that will be the good appraisal. So I will discuss some of the biases. Some of the biases like primary effect bias. What is this? The primary effect bias, like the first impression rating, not the overall. First impression rating. Suppose I see you. You are looking so better than others on my first look. Then I will rate on you on your first look that your first impression is very good. They generally ask in management. They generally said your first impression is the last impression. So based on appraisal, they go with this. But this is the bias appraisal that based on the primary effect. Second is the halo effect, rating uniformly on high or low. High, constantly you are rating on high, or constantly you are rating on low. That is the halo effect. And some other effects like horn effect. Horn effect, rating on negative qualities, only negative qualities. You are not considering the positive points. That is gone with horn effect. Horn effect, rating on the negative qualities. Then lenience rating. Lenience rating is very casual rating. हाँ ठीक है, he looks, he did that, okay, you did that. Leniency rating, you are not considering the performance. Then control tendency, based on average performance. Control tendency. Spillover effect. Spillover effect is the rating based on past experience, past performance. Recency effect, rating influenced by most recent by. And the things that comes here is motivation. That generally is the motivation is the motion or energy state that energizes, activates, or moves and directs human behavior towards goal. It is a need satisfying and goal-seeking behavior of satisfying and getting behaviors. Then what are the hierarchy of needs that is given by Maslow? It is categorized as the 5 level of low, higher order needs. Individual must satisfy lower needs before they can satisfy higher order needs. Satisfying needs will no longer motivate. Motivating a person depend on knowing what the level of the hierarchy. There are 5 levels of needs self-exploration that have already discussed. So the other theories is with Hertzberg motivation hygienic theory. There are 2 factors that this theory consider. That is, first is the hygiene or the maintenance factor, and second is the motivational factor. The hygiene factor can be the company administration policies, technical supervision, salary, job security, personal life, etc. So you have to remember these factors, like what are the factors under hygiene and what are the factors under motivation. So they generally ask what is the hygiene factor under these 2 theories. So they have given 3 motivation factor and given 1 hygiene factor. So you have to remember it. So these are things, and these hygienic factors are called as job dissatisfaction factor, and the job satisfaction matter that has been called as motivational factors. Then other theories that comes with that comes here is the McClelland need theory based on 3 things: need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. Need for affiliation. These are the 3 need theories. These are the 3 things that comes under McClelland need theory. Then room expectancy theory that notice the motivation into valence, expectancy, and the instrumentality. What is the valence? Valence is the mean and the value of strength one place on a particular outcome or reward. Then what is the expectancy? It is it relates efforts to the performance. Then what is the instrumentality? Instrumentality is the belief that performance is related to the rewards. So the room motivation can also be expressed in the form of an equation like motivation is equal to the valence into expectancy into instrumentality. This is the room expectancy model of motivation. Then McGregor participation theory that deals with 2 things, that theory X and theory Y. Theory X is basically theory X labeled as negative, and theory Y is labeled as positive thing. Like theory X said, workers are motivated by money, workers are lazy and dislike work, workers are selfish, workers are need to be controlled. These are the theory X. Where the theory Y said, the workers may have many different needs which motivates them. Workers can enjoy work. If motivated, workers can organize themselves and that they can take their responsibility. So the things that here has to learn is the theory X and Y. Theory was given by Max Douglas McGregor. Theory X is negative. Theory Y is positive. Then the theory Z, what it said, that theory Z was proposed by Urvik theory Z. This Uchi has pronounced this theory Z. The theory Z based on this four postulate, like the strong bond between the organization and employees participation and involvement, no formal organization structure, and the human resource development. These are the four postulates of the theory Z. Then Uchi's theory Z represents the adoption of Japanese market practices, that is group decision making, social cohesion, job security, holistic concerns for employees, etc., by the American companies. And Maruti Suzuki, Hero Honda, etc., applied the postulate of theory Z. For the ERG model, what ERG theory said, that the E is for existence or for relatedness, and G is for growth name. That people generally grow firstly for existence, then relatedness, and the growth. These are the Alfred ERG theory. Equity theory proposed by Stacky Adams. He said that a workplace and a behavioral, he said that the employee seeks to maintain equity between the input and inputs they have, or to bring a job and their outcome in a equal way. Like input should be equal to the output, and work should be equal to your performance. That is the equity theory. Skinner's reinforcement theory. It said four things like positive reinforcement. There are positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, and extinctive behavior. Positive reinforcement said, like if your pay raise or you have been promoted, you are reinforced from inner side that I have to do excellent job because I have my salary has been increased, or I have got a promotion. Negative, it can say that your performance is not up to the mark. You have not been promoted. These things comes under negative reinforcement. And the punishment like suspension, threats. These are the things that reinforces you to do a work. And executive behavior, like providing other positive or negative reinforcement based on your subordinates. If your subordinates say you are doing excellent work, you are extremely motivated to do the things. Then project management, it is the application of processes, methods, skills, knowledge, and experiences to achieve specific project objectives according to the project acceptance criteria, which are generally depicted here. Is first is the conception and initiation, defining and planning, launch or execution, performance and control, project and closes. There are different tools to measure this performance. This project management are brainstorming, fishbone diagram, critical path analysis, and Gantt chart. They generally ask for examination, what are the tools for project management. So these four tools are there. Then another concept of total quality management is the continuation. It is always remember, it is a continual process. It is a not end process. It is a continual process of detecting and reducing or eliminating errors in manufacturing, streamlining supply chain management, or improving the customer experience. So the quality management aims to hold all the parties involved in the production processes accountable for the overall quality of final products. So this concept was developed by William Deming and a management consultant who worked and had a great impact on Japanese company. While TQM shares much in common with the Six Sigma improvement process. So the Six Sigma improvement process deals with the total quality management. Total quality management focuses on ensuring that the internal guidelines and process standards reduce errors, while Six Sigma looks to reduce the defects. Six Sigma looks to reduce the defects, and TQM looks for reducing and eliminating any of errors. Leadership is the process of social influences in which one person can enlist, add, and support to the others in accomplishment of a common task. These are the definition of leadership. So the other definition is the leadership is ultimately about creating a way for people to contribute to making something extraordinary happen. That is Alan Keith. So there are four factors of leadership. That is, first is situation, second is communication, third is follower, and fourth is your leader. So according to the US Army Handbook 1973, there are three major styles of leadership: authoritarian, authoritarian, delegated, and participative. And there are other types of leadership also, like autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. Autocratic, it deals with the leaders make the decision and centralize in one person. That boss is always right. And the democratic, the behavioral person, the democratic is the decision with participation. And laissez-faire is the free render, leaders give powers to the subordinate to make their decision. However, the leader is still responsible for the decisions that are made. This is used where the employee are able to analyze the decision, and the delegate style is generally not useful. There are generally four theories of leadership. So first theory is trade theory. The trade theory generally comes with the great man theory. And the great man theory, it said that it believes that this theory has a critical leadership trait could be isolated, and the people with such trait could then be recruited, selected, and installed and a leadership position. This theory was common in the military, and it is still used as a set of criteria to select candidates or commissions. So the advantages can be: it is a natural pleasing theory. It is served as a yardstick against which the leadership traits of an individual can be assessed, and it gives a detailed knowledge and understanding of leaders' element in leadership process. Behavioral theory. This theory runs on the basis of belief that the great leaders are made, not born. It is made, not born. It is rooted in behaviorism. This theory even say, if somebody nowadays, a question can be asked that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is based on you say the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on what basis? It is suited to which theory? You can directly quote that it is based on behavioral theory, because behavioral theory said that the leadership are being based upon the belief that the great leaders are made, not born. That generally asked, that discussed. It is rooted in behaviorism, and according to this theory, people can learn to become leaders through teaching and observations. The behavior approaches says that anyone who adopts the appropriate behavior can be a good leader. According to contingency theory in the leadership is the success of a leader is a function of various contingencies in the form of subordinate, task, groups, variables. These are the things of contingency theory. And this explains how some leaders can seem for a while to have the Midas touch, suddenly appears to go off and while and make some unsuccessful decision. Fiedler's contingency model, which says that the group performance based on the leadership style, situational favorableness, and this situational favorableness can be determined by three things: the leader-member relations, task structures, and the position power. The three things are there. Then Blanchard's situational theory said that the theory stated that instead of using just one style, successful leaders should change their leadership style based on the maturity of the people they are leading and the details of the task. So according to him, the four main leadership styles were telling, that leaders tell their people exactly what to do and how to do it. Then second is selling. Leaders still provide information and direction, but there are some communication with the followers and participating and delegating. There are some other things. Path goal theory, that particle theory said that the leader's responsibility is to increase the subordinate. That is the path goal theory. A person may do these things by adopting a certain leadership style according to the situation. Maybe a directive leadership, maybe a supportive leadership, maybe a participatory leadership, or achievement-oriented leadership. Then another question that generally asked in examination, that is the managerial grades. What are the managerial grades and how it is being used? The managerial grades based on the two behavioral dimension. First is the concern for people and concern for production. You can see by this chart, there are middle rows, club country, team, impoverished, and the produce for Paris. So you have to remember this graph. They generally ask the person with the high people and low production comes under what category? That is the country club leadership. Then produce or Paris leadership comes under high production and low people. Impoverished means low production and low people. Middle of row, then middle production and middle people. And team leadership is high production and high people. So you have to remember this chart. They generally ask for these questions. The Likert School of Leadership, it says that Likert has four type of management system, that is explorative, authoritative, and benevolent, authoritative, and participative. There are the four types of leadership according to the Likert. Then question generally asked for PERT and CPM. The PERT is an evaluation tool for project. The PERT is majorly applying for scheduling, organizing, and integration of different tasks with the project. It provides for the blueprint of projects. And critical path method is it is used for the time needed for the completion of project, which is already known. So the PERT and CPM, their differences have been depicted here. The PERT is a project management techniques, where the CPM is the techniques for project management that deals with the well-defined activities of a project. The PERT is based on event, whereas the CPM based on the activities. The model that has been used for PERT, it is probabilistic model, and deterministic used for CPM. So these differences you can remember. It is we generally ask for examinations. So the points to remember for management is we have to revise more. Daily, on a daily basis, you can fix a particular time for revision of this for a particular subject. Like if you are going for management, you have to fix for morning. I am fixing for 4 to 5. So every morning I have for 4 to 5 I have to read, I have to revise for management topics only, so that you can call any time, any point of time. And generally people and generally student, they confuse with when I read what was there. So if your if your mind has made some compartment for any topics, it directly goes to that portion only. And try to visualize the figures, because management deals with many of the picture cycles and these things. So you have to visualize these things. Don't forget the name of proposer of different theories, name of different books, step cycle of activities, an example of different theories and concepts. And there are some books which can be written generally used for management, and they are generally asked in examination also. So who has given the theory of motivation? That motivation and personality was written by whom? Maslow. And Alton Mayo has written what book? Taylor Frederick, Claude George has written what book? So this time Max Weber has given what the book. Thomson, Modern Organization, written by whom? Written Thomson. Chris Agres for Organization Effectiveness. So these things are there, which you should have to remember, that Gurvik has given the pattern of management book. So these books are generally asked in examination. Thank you. If somebody wants to ask any question for related to your management topic, Otherwise, I will go for the next topic, that is gender. Reference book can be your first and foremost book will be the Kunz book. You have to read and you have to memorize everything of it. Kunz book is the basic for reading every book. And there are many of the short books has been written by many of the authors. You can refer those also. But your basic book and your basic theories book, basic everything that comes under Kunz book, that is the basic. You have to go with it. You cannot escape it, or you cannot rely on these short notes, short books, or maybe a capsule, what the people are generally writing nowadays. They are compiling those things from those books. But if you not, if you understand the concept of everything, you need not to remember. You need not to remember everything. So it is better to go with a Kunz book. Kunz book is the basic and it will cover everything. Any other questions? No question. So I will go with the second topic, that is a gender. So the second topic which has been given to me is the gender. So what are the gender that they generally ask in the examination? What are the difference between gender and sex? That the sex is a biological differences of male and female, whereas the gender is the social relationship between the male and the women. That is the basic differences of gender. So the gender is a socially constructed differences in roles and responsibilities assigned to the men and women in given culture or location. The gender term was firstly used by N. Oakley, Oakley, and it is a culturally specific set of characteristics that explain the social behaviorism. Then the terminologies that are generally being used in gender, that what are the gender bias? The gender bias is the tendency to make decisions or to take actions based on the gender. That is the gender bias definition. Then what is the gender mainstreaming? Gender mainstreaming is the process of ensuring that men and women have equal access and control over resources, development, benefits and decision making at all the stages of their development processing. Then what are the gender discrimination? That the prejudicial treatments of an individual based on the gender stereotype often refers to as the sexism or sexual discrimination. Then what are the gender equality and equity? Equality deals with the result of absence of discrimination on the basis of a person's sex in opportunities and the allocations of resources or benefits in the access of services. That is the absence of discrimination basis on their personal sex and opportunity. What is the equality? Equality, that condition deals with the women and men participate as equal, have equal access to the resources and equal opportunity to exercise control. These are the equity. Equity deals with that men and women have the equal access to the resources and equal opportunity and the equal exercising power. These are this deals with the equity issues, the specific consequences of inequality of men and women. That is called as general gender issues. Then gender relation, gender division of labor, gender analysis. Gender analysis is to provide disaggregated data by sex and an understanding of the social construction of gender roles, how labor is divided and valued. These are the this is used for gender analysis. Gender analysis is the process of analyzing information in order to ensure that development benefits and resources are effectively and equitably targeted to the men and women. Then what is the disaggregated data? It is used for gender analysis. All data should be separated by sex in order to allow differential impact on the men and women to be measured. Then what is the gender planning? It refers to the process of planning development program and projects that are gender sensitive and which has taken into account the impact of different gender roles and needs of the men and women in the target community or the sector. Then what are the gender roles? Gender roles are, there are two types of roles. First is productive and second is reproductive. Productive roles refers to the activity carried out by the men and women in order to produce goods and services, either for sale, exchange, or meet the substantial need of the family. And the reproductive need refers to the activity needed to ensure the reproduction of society's labor forces. This includes the child bearing, rearing, and the care of family members such as children, elderly, and others. These tasks are done mostly by the women. Then gender needs, two types of gender needs are there: practical gender needs and strategic gender need. Practical gender needs is it deals with these practical needs are the needs women identify in their social accepted roles in the society. And these needs do not challenge, although they arise out of their gender divisions of labor and women's subordinate position in the society. And these are more practical in nature and having concerns for inadequacy in living conditions such as water and other mode of things. Then second is strategic gender needs. Strategic gender needs, it deals with the women that women identify because of their subordinate position in the society. The women's needs identify based on the subordinate position in the society that deals with strategic gender needs. They are generally long-term and less viable than the practical gender needs. The gender mainstreaming, it is the process of assessing the implication for women and men of any planned action, including legislations, policies, or program in all the areas and at the level. It is a strategy for making women as well as men concern and experiences an integrated dimension for design, implementing, and evaluating the programs in all the sectors like political, economical, and societal periphery. The ultimate goal of mainstreaming is to achieve gender equality. The question they generally ask, the gender mainstreaming is used for gender equality, gender equity, gender roles, gender needs. So gender equality is the major concern for gender mainstreaming. So the general issues for the agriculture for the gender is overburden of work, impact of technologies, facilities and support services, development biases, constraint to the women, access to the resources, land, credit, markets, and research technology, and access to the extension and trainings. Then there are different development programs like 1952 Community Development Program deals with economical development, with social justice, and overall development of villages. This theory believes that men and women are alike. Then community development blocks schemes was there for Gram Sevika, Panchayati Raj, democratic decentralization in Rajasthan based on the B.R. Mehta committee report. In 1972-73 pilot projects for tribal development. 6 tribal areas were selected: Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and other things. So there are number of programs with the women. You have to make a list. You have to make a year. What are the program? What are the major things that was there? You have to memorize everything. You have to go for the child and development website is also there. You can go for it. There are some new informations are there. You can refer some online courses also. There are something, and you can refer some of the notes from the managed website also. Managed website has good compilation of these things, some new concepts of management also, because it is one of the highest class management institutes for agriculture. So other schemes like TRISAME, FRAS, DOACRA, CAPART, that you have already been read in your UGs. राष्ट्रीय महिला कोश, महिला समृद्धि योजना, स्वयं सिद्ध स्वधारा. These are, you can find in some of the capsule or the short books which have been written for extension, and some of the things that you can go through on website also. Then what are the gender analytical frameworks and tools? It is the tools to examine the differences in women's and men's life. It is the way in which those differences, like read and the perceived, that can be used in assigning responsibility. Why it is needed? It is used for understanding the social and economic conditions, gender gaps, and inequalities. Use and provide the sex disaggregated and gender related data, and examining how gender relations affect the achievement of sustainable results, and how it affects the relative status of men and women. There are different types of frameworks which have been proposed for gender. First is the Harvard Analytical Framework. That has another name of Gender Roles Framework. So they ask in examination, gender role frameworks is given by whom? That is given by Harvard. Moser frameworks are the triple role framework. These are these frameworks have some 2-3 names also. Like Moser frameworks is also been called as triple role frameworks and Moser or label frameworks. Then social relation approaches for frameworks, SRA, gender analysis matrix, women empowerment, that's a long way framework. Long way framework they asked. So capacity and vulnerability analysis framework, which are less known. And participatory rule appraisal is also a type of gender analysis tool. I will discuss in detail. Then rapid rule appraisal techniques. So the first analysis tool that has been mentioned here is Harvard Analytical Tool, that is gender role frameworks for gender analysis framework. Created by first framework, it was the first framework that has been created for gender, originally by Harvard Institute of International Development in collaboration with USAID. The aim was to economic cases for allocating resources to the men as well as the women. It is having a matrix which collecting data at the community and household level. That is the micro level. It is being used for micro level data collection. The components are like activity profile, who does what, then access and control profile, that who has what, analysis of factor and trends, that is what is the socio-economic context, and the program cycle analysis, what gender consideration are needed for the projects, the men and adults, what the activity they are doing, what are the access and control, how activities are being performed, and the gender sensitive project planning, how it can be done. Their strengths and weaknesses was there, like it gives a clear picture for gender division of labor, these analytical framework, and shows differences in workload, access to the land, and control of resources, and it is non-threatening. Where the weaknesses, it is silent on the power relations, like who has powers to decide, because access and control are two different things, but the power is a different things for men and women in a society, and does not perform the gender relations. Assume that the illustration have a neutral culture regards gender power relations. That this is a good framework that can be used for gender studies. And another most famous that has been used by the researchers are like the Moser framework, been by GAD approach, and it is originally by Caroline Moser Development Planning Unit, DPU, University of London, in early 1980s. The aims was to set up the gender planning. So Moser framework is used for gender planning, and the goal was to bring equality, equity, and the empowerment. The three factors of this Moser framework is equity, quality, and empowerment. Organized around three concepts. What are these three concepts? First is the women's triples role. Triples roles are like productive roles, reproductive works, and community works. These are three roles. Practical and gender needs that I already said. The practical needs, these are more permanent in nature, and strategic needs that what they generally performs in the structures, and categories of WID and GID approaches. Second major tools that has been used here is based on the needs. Need first is the practical gender need, and second is strategic gender needs. Practical gender need like access and to the water provision, health and opportunities in income, and opportunities to the housing and basic services. That is the practical need. Strategic that generally deals with the imbalances of power between men and women, like challenges of the gender division of labor, eliminating the burden of domestic or removal institutional form of discrimination, family planning services, domestic violence. These deals with the strategic gender planning needs. Then women's framework that has been used by women empowerment framework that they call is generally called as a long way framework, because it was named on the proposer, the Sarah Holupkile Longway, that she is a Zambian. Then how Longway frameworks, this is used for the women empowerment as an enabling women to take an equal places with the men and participate equally in the development process. The aim is to access to what extent a development intervention is supporting empowerment based on the different levels of equality, and assessing which levels of recognition of women issues is projected for the objective. So first tool was level of equality. It is based on three things, that is access, conscientization, participation, and control. And second tool was the level of recognition of women's issues. First was negative level, second is neutral, and third is positive level. Negative level deals with the project objective, makes no mention of women's issues. Neutral level, it has the women's issue, but not relevant to the particular section. And positive level concerned with the women's issues and with the improving the position of women. Second, the matrix that has been famous with the women empowerment is the it has two levels, that is level of recognition, that is negative, neutral, and positive, and having level of equality, that is control, participation, consideration, access, and welfare. These are the four sections of this women empowerment matrix. Then SIGA tool developed by the FAO has been used majorly used for the gender issues, and it has having a very set of tools that are generally being used for PRA and RRA. It is a combination of quantitative and qualitative methods for social integration and gender issues for planning and discussion and development at program. It is approached based on the guiding principle. First is gender roles and relations are the key key importance. Second is disadvantages groups are a priority, and third is the participation of local people is the essential for development progress. So it has under these the different tools have been used. For the development construct toolkit, it has trend lines that we are generally study in PRA and RRA, that based on the trend analysis, that trend what are the rainfall trend, production trend. These are things that are generally being used for assessing the development construct. And village resources map, learning about the environment and economic and social resources in the community. Then transacts about the location of farms, where are these resources has been located and what are their activities. And village social map includes the different population sections and the number of locations, household types based on ethnicity, cost, female aids, elderly, and poor, etc. Then Venn diagram, learning about the local groups and the institution, what are the linkages between the outside organization and the agencies within the villages and outside the villages also. Then SIGA matrix used for the resource need and constant analysis tools. The different tools that has been used here is The problem analysis tools, basically based on the what types of local problems are there, and we make their analysis. Then force field analysis based on some particular topics we fixed on this, and we discuss on those topics. So the force field analysis based on the field experiences. Then conflict identification and resolutions also, and resources and constraint analysis, policy analysis, and strategic planning. These are the portions with the resource need and constraint analysis. Then for the livelihood analysis tools under SIGA matrix only, the resource mapping, that is a farming system diagram for every household member on and off farm activity. Then benefit analysis flowchart, then daily activity clocks, seasonal calendars, resource access to the control matrix, income and expenditure matrices, wealth ranking. These are the portion used for livelihood data collection under SIGA matrix or SIGA tools. Then SIGA tools for stakeholder analysis, they use for Venn diagram, learning about the groups and other linkages with the organization and different agencies, and the institutional profiles. These are used for setting goals, achievements, and the needs of local groups and institutions. Thank you. So these were some of the topics with management and gender. So management, I would say it's a very large topic, and for guiding the students on the management, I would say to prefer management, to make Kunz book as a basic book and covering these things in a whole. And while reading management book, you have to read simultaneously the diffusion of innovation book also by the Rogers, because they go simultaneously. Their effects and their consumption goes simultaneously. So you have to read after management. You have to read for this diffusion of innovation books also. Gender now, some examiner, based on the examiner, it is coming their question. They are giving their questions gender, but till now not much focus has been given for gender. I would say it include around. It may include around 5 to 6 questions. 5 to 6 questions it will be mostly, but for management it will include around 20 questions, maybe 20 questions, more maybe more than 20 questions also. But I would say it will be around 15 to 20 questions for these management. And management question generally comes on this: the name of the theories. What are the theories this, and what are the theory those, the name of proposer, then what is this theory, what are the definition, like planning, what is the planning definition, what is the MBO's definition, these tools used for what, project management tools like Gantt chart, PERT, CPM, this formula. There are some formulas also under PERT and CPM that have not discussed here, because the time is too short to discuss, because it has having I think management has, if I'm going to discuss only about the theories of management, it will take around 3 to 4 hours to discuss on these particular topics. But for examination, it is okay. If somebody wants to ask any question or any planning issue, they can discuss, they can ask their queries.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So thank you for such a wonderful session. So now I request to the participant, if you have any questions, so you can ask to the sir. From participant sides, if you have any questions, so please you can ask to the sir.
No problem. If somebody wants to ask any question, they can ask. They are free to ask. But when you are going for ARS examination separately as an ARS-NET examination, it is more tougher than the ARS pre-examination. In our ARS examination, what they consider is, if ARS examination is being conducted, their pre is considered as ARS and pre both, net and pre both. They have, I've seen their level when it is as combined. The level is, I can say, it is lower than the ARS net examination is being conducted separately. Their level is high. So if this time only ARS net is happening, I would say you have to be prepared very hard. You have to fix your time, you have to fix your dedications. Otherwise, it is nowadays number of other, because ARS faculties has given access to the other departments also other than agriculture. So it is becoming tough for the students to qualify. And you should focus also on the UGC net also. That gives you more competition, the levels of your knowledge. Anyone has any query? Otherwise, we can close this session.
Yes, Priyanka is there. Priyanka Kherde. Dhanasri ma'am. If you have any question, so then you can ask to the sir. Otherwise, we will close the session.
Manohar sir is there?
What's
Manohar Zawad sir?
Yeah, sir is busy in some another meeting, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there is not much queries. We can. Okay, I will share this. What I said, my PPT is based on only the Kunz book. Kunz book is the basic. If you are having book, then there is no need of my PPT. I will share, no problem. It is having no such gems in that. Is there anything? I think. Is PhD compulsory to attempt ARS examination? No, it is. Yes, from 2021, the ASRB has made compulsion for the examination of ARS that you should have a degree of PhD. After that, you can go for ARS. It has been cleared. There is no doubt of this, that PhD is the compulsory. Compulsory is the 100% compulsory for all the students. So if somebody has having to, if somebody is about to finish their PhD, they should finish it quite quickly, because the advertisement is going to be soon for them. So you can go for it. Please suggest book for UGC NET. UGC NET, I would say I'm not. There is book for adult education. Presently, I'm not remembering the name, because there were lot more of notes. Basically, our seniors gives our notes to qualify these things, so it is make it easier. So I will say you can go for any of adult education book. The famous, I don't remember the name of the book, the author, and some of the portion which has been. Small portion has been mentioned in Shruti ma'am book. I would say for PhD, some small cap book is there. So some portion is being mentioned there, but it is not sufficient. You have to go for adult education book, and basically you have to go for these quantitative sections also, because and if you are having a control on your subject also, extension itself, that communication management and these things, it will cover around all the portions. Yes, Shruti and Madan Singh. Shruti madam, my UG senior, PhD senior, PG senior. Madan Singh was my postgraduate senior, my MSc and PhD. Samparan Chakravarti, I don't know these books. but you can prefer Shruti ma'am book. These Shruti ma'am book and Madan book is it is like a capsule. It doesn't give the idea of particular topics. It is a small section of coverage. But in UGC, when you go for UGC, it doesn't give a direct question that who is given this book. They always ask for a session and region sections. They always ask for it. So you have to be go in detail. Otherwise, you will be in troubles to qualify this. Okay, any other questions? If anybody wants to contact, they can contact with my phone number and email ID which I have shared to sir. You can contact to Manohar sir, Manohar Dharwad sir, Department in Extension, MPKV Rahuri. So, is there anything to discuss?
Okay, sir.
I think we can end this session.
Yeah, okay. So before that, I will conclude the session. So such a wonderful lecture given by the Sunil Kumar sir on extension management and gender issue in development. So he is the Ph.D. scholar, ICAR-IRI, SMS KVK, Kolhapur. So give us such a comprehensive information in this lecture, and definitely our participants are really enjoying and this session. And this session is definitely beneficial for the preparing the ARS and the NET examination point of view. And actually, our participant definitely doing the great job in ARS and the NET examination. And this is the actually real thanks to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much to the head of Department Agricultural Extension and Communication, MPKV Rahuri.
On the behalf of PGI, MPKV Rahuri and Agriculture Department of Agriculture Extension and Education. I warm thanks to all of you, and basically the participants. Also, thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will end the meeting.